so my name is Karen. I live in Woking. I have been teaching yoga for the last 11 to 12 years. Prior to that, I trained as a chemical engineer and was working in the oil industry. Started out on a refinery, then went into design and then in technical sales and was flying around the country. But about 12, 13 years ago, decided that we wanted a family, and the work that I was doing didn't link with being able to be in the same place at the same time and look after a family. So had a change in, change of direction. So I teach mixed ability, pregnancy, postnatal and baby classes within the Woking area. Did my training, it was an 18-month course which covered all different sorts of aspects of yoga, yoga philosophy and systems. We had a module in our teacher training course which was to do with chakras, and I have very vivid memories of us all sat in this room in Islington where the training was taking place. And I mean, we did a lot of talking about the chakras, but the lady that was teaching it then went through, I think it was some form of meditation. I just remember sitting there and her going through all the different energy centres, and we were using seed mantras at the time, and afterwards everyone going, oh, there was this and there was that, and me actually sitting there going, nothing. Got absolutely nothing, but clearly something was going on because everybody else had had some sort of experience with it. Moving on from that, being in my yoga classes, being in certain poses and just having, I remember one specific, I was in triangle pose. It was really hip opening, really releasing. I knew that shoulders and hips were quite an energy, emotional releasing place. Didn't think anything of it, went into triangle pose as I've done like lots of times before, and suddenly burst into tears. My yoga teacher walked across, gave me a tissue, and I was like, okay, there is definitely something in this. Then during my first pregnancy, we was again doing various meditations, and I did some seed mantra chanting again, and I could feel each resonation within each chakra as I chanted. I was at home, I wasn't being led through it, but I could feel every single channel as I did it. And I think that was the point that I went, I kind of knew it was there and I knew it was happening, but that was the point that I went, oh yeah. And then from that moment on, have just read more. I love doing the chakras in class. I love exploring them. I love just everything to do with it and can't get enough of it. So that's where it started. There's been various points where it just feels like you're blocked, the only way of describing it. That there's something going on that does need releasing in some way. So I do, using my yoga is a good way of kind of tapping into what's going on. Certainly towards the beginning of this year, there was a few things going on that just increased the stress and tension that I was experiencing, and actually was suffering with quite a lot of neck and shoulder tension, and yeah, it was that kind of, especially with my yoga knowledge and knowing how to balance out the chakras, there was like, again, blockages within me that needed sorting. I guess how I tapped into working with Jay was the fact that I'd been to see a consultant and then a physio about the neck and shoulder issues that I was having. And the physio said that a lot of neck and shoulder issues are actually as a result of stress and tension. And when he first said it, I was like, I'm fine. Didn't feel like there was particular stress and tension. And then he was like, has anything been happening? And then when I reflected on that, I was like, well, actually, there had been a lot of stuff going on, I guess personally and business-wise. Trying to keep the business going through lockdown was incredibly challenging, as well as juggling the children being at home and my neighbour being unwell. There was a lot going on that made me kind of go, oh yeah, that's probably why my shoulders are up by my ears. And I think that's when I thought, right, I need to do something to manage my stress levels, even though I didn't think they were particularly bad. I was like, I need to do something because clearly it's affecting me physically. So I booked in with Jay. We had, I booked a series because I was like, one-off's not going to work. This is going to need a bit more committed time and energy to it. And so we did. We had a regular kind of every week session, which was generally at the end of the day, after a very long day and juggling lots of things. And I know that I went in with a lot of tiredness, stress and tension through my neck and my shoulders. And through the course of working, by the end of it was just calmer, lighter, released. It was just amazing to have that time to look after me, to work on me, and in a way that spoke to me. There was a few things that we did that it's that universal connection. There has to be something bigger that's going on with some of the messages that came out as a result of each session, of me sitting there. There was a couple of times we'd kind of pick out cards and Jay would be like, is this going on? And I'd go, no, oh, actually, yeah, that is. And it was really getting deep down into some of the stuff that was going on that wasn't on a conscious level. There's definitely subconscious, but through the process of the meditations and the Reiki, it was very powerful. So what I've taken away from it is that I need to keep working with it. It's not something you can dip in and out of. Jay gave me some of the meditations that we did, which I would listen to, and I gave myself time to stop. But each time I did, there was that sense of release, of letting things go and allowing the energy to flow freely again. Yeah, having that background knowledge of energy at work, the fact that you can get blocked, that you can release it, that when there are things, for example, when the anxiety starts to rise, knowing that I've got to ground myself in whatever way is working, whether that's a walk out in nature because I find that really grounding, whether it's doing a meditation, whether it's working through my yoga. There are lots of different ways that you can tap into your energy work. And sometimes, depending on what's going on, you need one form or another. It's not always the same direction that you want to be working. Using it in class, using it, knowing energy when I'm working one-on-one with people, knowing what energy they're bringing in and therefore what energy I need to either bring or reduce. So I've had a few private clients where they've been very stressed and very tense, and it's knowing that actually working with the energy to ground them, doing a lot of ground floor based. Actually, we don't get off the floor, we just work in releasing, and seeing the impact that that has on them, from the person that's walked in to the person, and knowing that there's an energetic exchange that's gone on. It's very powerful, as well as in myself, just knowing that when I've got tension or pain like right in the center of my chest, that I need to work on my heart. There's something going on that I'm perhaps not aware of when you're kind of going through your day to day, and then you kind of get that, okay, what do I need to tap into? What do I need to work to release, so that I can bring myself back into balance? So I think that you've got to give it a go. You've got to or try at least to experience it. If you go in with that sense that it's nothing, or it's not real, or you're not sure, just be open. You need to be open to the experience. You've got to have a sense of, or just go in without any expectations more than anything, because if you've already got that preset of what's going to happen, then you've already set the outcome. Whereas if you go in with an open mind, no expectations, and just feel what does or doesn't come up. Actually, quite often there's learning in what doesn't come up as much as what does come up. But give it a go, get off the fence, dive in. What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is that you've spent an hour not feeling anything, but that's going to teach you as much as anything else. But I'm fairly sure that won't be the case. Having worked with energy for nearly 12 years now, there is always something going on. There is always going to be that sense of whatever you've got going. Yeah, it's that sense of, I was going to say feeling better, feeling different, healing. Yeah. And even if you don't have the vocabulary to be able to work out what that is in that moment, and it might not be straight after the session, it might not be in the session, it might be the days or the weeks, or actually even sometimes months afterwards, that something happens and your brain or your kind of your whole experience goes, oh. Like when I was in that chakra meditation going, well, I didn't get anything, but then a couple of years later doing it myself, I was like, oh. And it was a proper light bulb moment when you feel that vibration, and you can't ignore it. You cannot ignore something that you're physically feeling in that moment. Do it. I had the pleasure of doing a workshop with you both, and I still have students asking me when I'm doing another one. But the whole workshop was just amazing. It was, yeah, just do it. There's no other, I could try and waffle on, but just do it. Just dive in, experience it. They're a great team to work with, and you will get an amazing experience from working with them.